Hi everybody, Casey Cox here, PGA teaching professional. Very, very excited to be joining the Woodlands Online Golf Series to be bringing you guys instruction at home. The time that we're going to be spending together is going to be focused mainly around my expertise, which is biomechanics. For those of you who don't know or are not familiar with the world of biomechanics, essentially what that is the study of the laws of physics as they are applied to the human body. So very simply, I am a human motion geek. I study human movement in many different facets, and certainly golf is one of those realms. So the time that I will be spending online with instruction is going to be focused around a lot of the concepts and research that I spend my time on, and hopefully some of those concepts are things that are going to be able to help you with your golf game. One of the things that we focus on heavily is what we call cause and effect. So what versus why. A very interesting thing that I see is that almost every student that comes to me can tell me what is going on with their golf swing. So they hit it right, or they leave the club face open, or they're coming over the top. A lot of different swing characteristics we hear, but the interesting thing about that is while they can tell me what's going on, almost none of them can tell me why it's going on. And that's really what biomechanics helps us understand, is not just what is occurring, but why things are occurring. And that allows us to really simplify the game for a lot of students. The ability to understand how the entire system interacts with itself allows us to move forward and address goals, and it allows us to simplify everything that's going on. So that's our goal with biomechanics, is to provide a simplified message of what's happening and give students an idea of how to move forward in a very concise manner. What we're going to address first, and I want to talk about, is balance. One of the biggest things that happens in the golf swing with ourselves in relation to the laws of physics is balance, and how our posture affects our ability to stay in balance. So we're going to address that first and foremost. We're going to get outside here in just a minute and show you a drill that we can use to address our balance and start talking about that. All right, so let's talk about balance a little bit. So just very specifically, we're going to start with the setup position because a lot happens right from there. You want to understand that in the golf swing, ultimately everything is leading down to the moment of impact. But from the top of the back swing position to impact generally happens at around 0.2 of a second. So you have very, very little time to get things going on correctly. What we see, the big difference between professional players and amateur players, is that generally speaking, amateur players have a lot more going on biomechanically in the downswing than professional players do. A couple things happen as a result of this, right? The more you have that's happening in that very small window, the less likely the body is to accomplish it consistently. The second part is your body having to accomplish, say, 150 tasks in the downswing as opposed to 50 means that the body is going to naturally slow itself down to help you accomplish all of those things in that given period of time. So the overall goal of trying to simplify and make things as simple as possible is something that's going to be advantageous for everybody. Now here's what we're going to try to do. Balance is something that is required in order to simplify all these things, right? The better our balance is, generally speaking, the more simple the biomechanics become. So that's where we're starting, and that's why we're talking about this. Generally speaking, when we get into an athletic posture, right, if I was going to guard somebody in basketball, if I was going to field a ground ball in baseball, right, all of those positions and everything we're taught running and movement happens through the ball of the foot, okay? And the reason that that happens is because we have sensors in the ball of the foot, and when you apply pressure to those sensors in the ball of your foot, it turns on certain muscle groups in your legs, mainly your quads and your calves. These muscles help you run, jump, lunge, do a lot of different athletic things, but none of them help create stability in the sense that we're trying to do with golf. So if you are in a setup position and your body is forward onto the balls of your feet, you're going to experience a lot of lifting and a lot of the body fighting itself to rotate because of this lack of balance. So we need to be able to achieve a different balance point in our golf posture than we do in every other posture that we typically learn in sports. So a couple drills to help us accomplish this. When we get into our setup position, right, you can put an alignment stick down. When I stand on this alignment stick, it's giving me a little bit of a reference point. You should be able to feel if you're forward of that alignment stick on the balls of your feet, or whether or not you can sink behind that and anchor yourself into your ankle joints so that you can be a little bit more balanced. This is a really simple way to test where your balance point is in your address position. So as you're at home working on things, right, let's go ahead and work on getting to our setup position, and let's make sure that our feet are remaining balanced behind that alignment stick. You should be able to pick up the forefront of your feet and wiggle them. It's just something we see a lot of good players doing to test whether or not they're properly balanced. When we put the pressure onto that trail part of the foot, we are engaging the muscles in the legs that are going to create stability, your hamstrings and your glutes. These are muscles that we'll be doing squats, deadlifts in, right? So as I get into my setup position, I'm not simply bending forward like this, right? That's going to put all of my pressure forward. When I get in my setup position, as I start to tilt forward, notice that my thighs are going backwards, okay? This is what's known as a hip hinge. When the thighs go backwards, it allows the upper body to stay in a tilted posture and remain balanced at the same time. Okay, so this is what we're trying to achieve in our setup posture. We need to maintain this relationship with the upper and lower body. So we got to get into that hip hinge, start working on that. This is a great drill to start that. All right, here's something that we can do inside. Doesn't exactly involve social distancing, but if any of your loved ones are around, they should be able to help you out with this one, all right? So as we get into our setup posture, again, like we talked about, if I'm in a proper hip hinge position, my backs of my legs should be engaged, not the fronts of my legs. So again, if I'm set up on the balls of my feet, okay, we're going to have a very hard time balancing. So I'm going to have my special helper come in here, and she's going to show us a little bit about what this is going to be. All right, helper, can you come give me a hand? So when you're in your setup posture, okay, you can have a helper come up from behind you and go ahead and push me right in the back there, okay? You can see it doesn't take very much force if I'm on the balls of my feet to lose my balance that way, okay? When you are swinging a golf club, that is the same force that is being acted upon in your body. It's the same thing as somebody coming up and pushing you in the back. If you're on the balls of your feet, okay, you can have your youngest child come out and push you and you're not going to be very balanced. If I get into a proper setup position though, where my thighs are back and I'm anchored a little bit here, what I'm going to be able to do, go ahead helper, push me again, okay? As she pushes me now, I have resistance. I can use the muscles in the backs of my legs to resist the movement going in this direction, right? But as soon as I go into the balls of my feet, push me one more time, right? I'm going to fall over very easily. So that is a very, very simple demonstration of how balance works in the golf swing. As we're swinging, it's very similar to somebody pushing on your back like that. If you can have somebody test you, go ahead and get into your golf position. If you are properly anchored, again, behind that alignment stick that we were using, that's going to give you the ability to stabilize and balance throughout the golf swing. All right, back with my handy helper for our last drill here, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to get into my golf position. You can throw a club up across your chest here, okay? So go ahead and provide me with a little resistance that way. So as you provide the resistance with the band in that direction, what's happening is obviously you're being tried to pull in that direction, okay? So obviously that is not the direction we want to go in. The natural response to the band's resistance is for you to sit back a little bit, okay? This is going to help engage the muscles in the backs of the legs and give you part of that sensation you need to understand what it's going to feel like for you to be in this golf position. So this is a little bit more training, right? The endurance of the backs of the legs, and it also, again, is going to help provide some of this resistance here. So as you start to do this, we can also start to do rotation, right? And I can start to feel what it feels like to stay anchored in those positions of the feet and start to resist the movement forward in the swing.